Welcome to Home Tiny Lab. My name is Christoph, and in this video I'm going to speak about a new addition in my Home Tiny Lab. I've bought my first single board computer that I'm going to use in my home lab, and it's not a Raspberry Pi. It's a NanoPi NEO3. So let's have a look at the device. So I've mounted for this occasion a little side cam. So what do you see? You have in the front, you have here the reset button. You have the micro SD slot. If you want to boot up, you have to insert your card first. But I will explain how you can get to this point. Then here you have two lights. The first is the status light that's blinking green when the micro SD card is accessed. And then a power light that's red. And the other side you have the 1 gigabit LAN connection, the USB 3.0 USB, and then you have a power connector in a USB-C format. It uses 5 volt and 2 amperes, so you can power it normally with a normal power supply for a smartphone. I am powering this up from my desktop for the moment. I've used a little dongle to write the image to the micro SD card. If you don't have a integrated card reader or something like that, you will have to find this somewhere. I had it laying around. I don't remember from where I've got it, but let's go to the website of the NanoPi. So the NanoPi arrived in a normal box for shipment, a brown box with nothing on it, with some markings, and that was it. It's not a nice box with friendly like put on it. So it's not the price of what you're seeing here of the white box. You have to select here the combo with case, and I've bought the 2 gigabyte version, so this would be more the price like I have ordered it. And then you have to set in the price of a micro SD card. You could buy one here, and that would give this as price. You have the specs from the outside I have given. If you're buying it with a white box and you have an IoT device on your network or a server, like in my case, the internals are not something that I'm interested in. So the GPI connectors I'm not going to use. Neither the USB internal connector. Per apps, there is one connection that I will use, and that's one of a fan if it's not cool enough. For the moment, I'm not exceeding the threshold. What's important is it's 64-bit ARM. For the installation of your software, it's kind of important. They compare it with their previous version, the Neo 2. That for the moment would be enough in my case, but normally I'm going to use more memory in the future. And here the operating system that are supported. I have installed Friendly Core based on Ubuntu 20.04. Some nice pictures. You can see the USB header, the fan header, and here the GPI pins that are not the same layout as a Raspberry Pi for people that are interested. But they explain it very well in their wiki. So if you go further down, all the links of what I'm showing will be in the description. And here you have the link to the wiki. So if we are going to the wiki, so there is a get started, very interesting. The essentials that you need to have, okay, and then install the OS. So what I've done, I've downloaded the image of a Friendly Core light vocal. It's very light version, it's not heavily loaded, so this means that you have to install a lot of applications to make it your own. And I flashed it with the Win32 disk imager because I'm using as my workstation Windows machine for the moment. Okay, so if you go further down, they explain it, but you have to scroll a little bit, but they explain everything really well. And I'm going to show some things in other videos on how you can configure all the things that I think are necessary to run in your homelab. So here you have the standard account and passwords that are present when you have created your image to the micro SD card, but it's also marked underneath the NanoPi. I've changed those passwords immediately, and something that I'm going to do later on is setting a fixed IP address. Something very important because it's not it's easily overlooked. You have here download links. So if you click on this, you will be on this page, and there you have the Google Drive for the rest of the world. Here it's, I think, for the Chinese market. If you click on the Google Drive, you will be magically on a Google Drive. And I've downloaded this image. I think that you can download immediately from Ubuntu, also Ubuntu Core, but I'm not certain. Because officially the NanoPi is not in the devices supported list. So perhaps it's best to download the version of Friendly Core. If you go to Tools, you double click on it. There you can download also the Win32 disk imager. You can also get it from SourceForge. It's not difficult to have. Other operating systems that they mention and that are officially supported. This one is DietPi. For people who want to try this. I know that all the software that I wanted to use was supported by DietPi. They have an exhaustive list of what is officially supported, and there is a lot in it. Arbion was something that I looked into. There is a version for the Neo 3, but it's not an official release. Things that you need to connect for the first time is to be possible to open an SSH session to your NanoPi Neo 3. I've downloaded Putty to do this. So if you going to launch Putty, you only have to type the IP address in here to click open, and you will be presented with the login screen. So for people that don't have a Unix system, okay, for Windows, Putty is there. And that's covered. Something else that's very important: you have to discover your device on the network the first time. And the first time when you're booting with your freshly image written micro SD card, that is going to take some time because it's going to expand and use the capacity of your micro SD card. The maximum supported is 128 gigabytes. If you will see it in the first page of the NanoPi NEO 3 page, if you're interested in verifying this. I've already done a scan. So if you're scanning with the advanced IP scanner, if you are running in Linux, use Nmap, for example. If you scan, you have to look for a microchip technology included, because on the packaging nowhere was mentioned the MAC address, and I'm not certain if you are going to open it up if it is on the chip of the, or on the housing of the network card. So install the latest version of advanced IP scanner, and if you have a device with microchip technology mentioned, it's probably your NanoPi Neo 3. And the MAC address, if you are using another utility, it has to start with 8034. So it can put you on the way to connect the first time to your NanoPi. Once you have connected the first time to your NanoPi, you can put a fixed address in it, or with the DHCP leases, if you can do reserve it. I cannot do it because I don't have I'm using the DHCP server of my provider, and it's limited in what I can do in it. So I cannot do DHCP reservations. So now that I know the IP address, I can connect with it with Putty, and then I've installed some utilities on it. I'm going to show which utilities I've installed. So if I'm going back to my browser, so I've installed ShellInABox. So you can connect to it. You have to enter HTTPS, the IP address that's corresponding with your NanoPi, and then the service number 4200, and then you have to log in. You can immediately use root, and I've changed the password already, and here I am already logged in. So the first thing to do when you have installed it, it's to do apt update. All packages are up to date, okay? Just because I have already installed a bunch of things on it. So the things that I have installed, for example, to start with my NanoPi and to discover the device a little bit. If I do history, here with this command, I've installed copy, paste from browser if you are using this utility, paste, and then okay. And if you go down, you will see that the command is pasted in your shell session. If I do enter, it will not install. It will simply mention that they're already installed and that they're already the newest versions. So I've installed ShellInABox, what I'm using now. htop, I like it. It's a nice overview. It has some features that are interesting to have. Screenfetch, it's nice to show to others. inxi, that I'm going to show. Docker IO, because I want to use most of my things, of my utilities, with containers. And then iperf to check if I have 1 gig. I can already say I have 1 gig on the interface. So for instance, with a capital F or inxi and then minus capital F, and this will show everything of hardware or related to hardware that's configured on the board. And here you will find everything back, what's in the description. I'm lucky. It's not something else that's in the white box. Here's a processor. What's interesting here, the speed of your network interface, the drives. So local storage total 28 and a little bit gigabytes, and used already 13 gigabytes is used. So for people that are going to load a lot on their device, perhaps go for a bigger micro SD card. It's something to decide. Because it's the first time that I'm using a single board, I went with the 32 gigs to see what was possible to do with it. Okay, let's clear this. And I've already installed some containers also in it. So I'm going to show what I've already installed. So Docker is installed, and if you want to see what's already running, it's with container and PS. And then you see that the portainer agent and portainer is running. That's what I'm using to manage my different Docker instances. So I'm going to do this from this NanoPi device. That's the plan. So it's always running, so I know that I can always use it. And then there are other things that I am testing out for the moment, but I will show this in portainer. I will also explain how I have arrived to how this is configured, but this is only an overview of what's possible with the NanoPi for what I know of it for the moment. So with admin account and my super secret password again. And you will see that I've already been playing around. So this is the local Docker instance, and this is also the local Docker instance, but connected through the agent. I have also, for the people that are following my my channel, I have also a Docker instance running on my virtualization platform. That virtual machine is down for the moment, but I can manage it also from here now. Interesting to do, to have one place to connect to all your Docker instances. If you connect to it, you will see there are 11 containers already running, 12 images, and only one volume, but that's a little bit, it's not entirely correct, because all my containers have volumes on my local file system. So I can access my container. So if I go to my user directory, for the moment I've configured it like this. There is a app data. And in the app data you have all the volumes of my containers. Almost all of them. So for instance, if you go to the Omer folder, there are assets, and you will find all your configuration files in there. So it's something that I have seen other YouTubers do, and I like the way to set this up in this manner, so I can directly edit my my config files out of my local system, and they're automatically taken in consideration for my containers. Also, the data is stored also locally, so I can copy easily files over without jumping into loopholes. So that's how I've set up this thing for the moment. So 11 containers, and here are some examples of what I've already done with the NanoPi. So Omer, but not configured for the moment, still playing around with it. Google, I can show it if it's that it's working. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. So Omer is can be accessed from port 9500, Google from 9000 port 9003. So if I click on this, wow, there it is. So here on the Google, so if I am doing NanoPi NEO3, it will give a result, I hope. Okay. And you don't have the ads, the tracing. It gives another result also than if you would do it with Google. So it's a nice thing to have permanently running on your homenet or in your homelab without paying a huge electricity bill. What I've done already is a file browser. It's a lightweight Nextcloud. It's dangerously to say this. You can copy over with a web browser files and share them with other people. Home Assistant, okay. Speed test. Snippet box, something that I'm trying out for the moment. WireGuard, reverse proxy, and Guacamole. That's something that's not. If you're going to do a remote session with Guacamole, with a graphical user interface, it's too heavy for the little box. So that's something that's not working well. It works, but you have to downsize your resolution and other things to make it usable. So perhaps there are other things that work better, but Guacamole is not made for this little single board computer. Apparently, there's some testing still to do. So this is my brief overview of what I've already done with NanoPi. I will make some other videos about what I'm doing with this little box and to see if it's a viable solution to run this permanently and that I have my services easily accessible also from the outside with configuring my proxy manager or my WireGuard VPN. There are some things coming on the channel, but I'm still doing the research for it. So I hope this was useful for people that want to try out a single board computer in their home lab. This is a thing to start with. It's an alternative for Raspberry Pi. It's an in-between price because the market of the Raspberry Pi it costs a lot for the moment. It's not that they are at a low price. So people, if you like this video and you want to see other videos, don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to give it a like if you liked it. Otherwise, perhaps I see you in another video. Thank you for watching.